Hey everybody! For today's video, what I'll be doing is something I've wanted to try for a long time but just haven't really gotten a chance to do. So what I want to see is which is faster between the CRX and the 10th Gen Civic Si and Autocross. So this is actually a time attack series held by our local track, and they allow you to dual drive cars. So it's a perfect opportunity to basically race against myself and see which one of the cars comes out ahead. So this is actually going to be kind of an interesting matchup because the CRX has a ton of suspension modifications, whereas the Civic Si is basically stock besides the sway bar that we put on. But what makes it interesting is the Civic has a turbo, which helps with the Colorado elevation, and the CRX is basically stock power levels. So let's take a look at each of the cars and run down the specs for each one to see what's going on under each car. So first up, we have the CRX weighing in just over 1,900 pounds, and with just under 100 horsepower at the wheels. It's pretty much the definition of a momentum car. So a focus on suspension and handling, not so much power. I haven't gotten there yet. So let's take a look at the Civic and compare its specs. So the Civic, being a modern car, is significantly heavier than the CRX is. So it weighs in at just over 2,800 pounds, which surprisingly is one of the lighter cars in its class currently, but it's just kind of a sign of the times. So what makes the Civic have a chance in this fight is the turbocharged motor putting out 205 horsepower, and it has wider tires to help make up for its additional weight. So let's take a look at the Civic's run and see what it does. So across the line with a 60.649. So the first turnaround thing was kind of an interesting feature. Don't see that too often in autocross. But now let's look at the CRX and see what it does. So despite having almost half the horsepower, the CRX actually manages to finish almost a second ahead of the Civic. So what's interesting is that in a lot of the straights, the CRX actually matched the speed of the Civic. It was mostly due to how much corner speed it could maintain, being the momentum car that it is. So let's just line the runs up side by side and compare them directly, just to see where ground was made or lost between the two runs. So where the Civic lost most of its time was that beginning turnaround feature and then the long sweeper immediately after. So the Civic's inability to maintain corner speed through those is basically where it lost most of the time. And in the subsequent sections where the track opened up and it was able to kind of extend its legs a little bit with the turbo, it was able to make up pretty much of the ground of some of the areas where the CRX could make it through certain features faster. So this was a pretty interesting experiment, one that's been a while in the making, that I was fortunate to be able to test this weekend. I think with a little bit more practice, I probably could have gotten the Civic close to the CRX, but what I found is that the CRX is much easier to drive on the track, and the Civic requires very delicate inputs to make the most of the traction it has. But hopefully you found this video interesting, and I hope to catch you next time.
See you again.